by Ms. Latanzio
Well,
and Mr. Housefather
you don't have unanimous consent.
would clearly trigger. They are not interested
You don't
in the
have
swift
unanimous
passage
consent,
of Bill
Mr. Brock.
C-14. How ironic.
We don't.
Hypocrites.
we
Don't make no
don't-
assumptions.
Okay. Here we go again.
Chaos, mayhem, and madness. Oh, what a show. Welcome to the Canadian Shield. My name is Sterling. Now, if this is the first you're hearing about the drama around Bill C-9, let me recap you. About 2 days ago at time of recording, the Liberal Party said that we're going to have an 8-hour meeting, an 8-hour study of the bill C-9. C-9 is this bill the Liberals and the Bloc want to shove through to change the criminal code to remove protected speech from religious organizations. Of course, nobody in the country asked for that, and nobody in the country wants that. But only the Conservatives seem to be listening to the voters. The Bloc and the Liberals, they're just ignoring all of their constituents. Or if you want me to believe that some of these downtown Toronto ridings don't have a lot of people, religious organizations calling them, I have a bridge I can sell you. So the first 8 hours was very hostile, very erratic. The Conservatives must have tried 10 times to get the Liberals to put Bill C-9 aside. And let's talk about Bill C-14. The Bail Reform Act. Then the meeting broke up as the tempers really frayed. I have a video. I'll leave it in at the end or up here, whatever it is. So they come back a couple days later at time of recording, and they sit down, and there's about 20 minutes of nicety and politeness, and then it all just falls to pieces. And I captured all of it, and we're going to enjoy it together. Couple of things. At time of recording, nobody was aware of the betrayal by the conservative, ex-conservative, now Liberal, crossing the floor. Let me remind you that the Conservatives have been for hours and many tries to get a motion put forward to move unanimous consent to move Bill C-14 onto the docket and have Bill C-9 set aside until after they have looked at C-14. Let's jump in.
Thank you, Chair. With respect to Mr. Brock's sub-amendment, I think it's clear that there is a lot of divisiveness surrounding C-9, a lot of complexity. The fact that we now have a sub-amendment on the table, I think, reinforces that this committee should be dealing with far more pressing priorities. I move that the committee now proceed to the consideration of Bill C-14, the Bail and Sentencing Reform Act.
We have dealt with that, ruled on it at least twice today.
Point of order.
So we're not going to do it again.
Point of order.
Yes, Mr. Lawton.
We are now on a sub-amendment. The context in which this discussion arises is entirely different now. I don't think you should be blocking your own Liberal colleagues from allowing them to move their bail legislation forward.
So let me get this straight. Your sub-amendment makes it less important to deal with the legislation we're dealing with, just to be clear?
The sub-amendment
shows...
shows...
Okay, I got it. Anyway, I've made my ruling. That's final. Challenge, okay, that's your right. Challenge failed. Mr. Lawton, you still have the floor?
Order.
Go ahead, Mr. Housefather.
He moved a motion.
Correct,
he lost
correct,
the floor.
correct. Thank you. All right, so we're on to Ms. Anstey then. Yes, Mr. Brock.
Seeking unanimous consent that the committee now proceed to the consideration of Bill C-14, the Bail and Sentencing Reform Act.
That's not a point of order, Mr. Brock.
I'm asking for unanimous consent, Chair.
Well, I've heard noise on the other side. I don't think you have.
I don't know. We're in support. Are the Liberals in support?
We do not have unanimous consent, Mr. Brock.
I haven't heard anything from the Liberal
I'm
side.
the chair, and I've decided.
I
Mr.
challenge
Brock,
you because I've heard nothing
you're
from the Liberal members.
What are you challenging my hearing?
Yes, I am. I've heard nothing from Ms. Latanzio, Mr. Housefather, Ms. Dillon, and Ms. Sakan, who is subbing for Mr. Chang.
Well, okay,
I've heard nothing.
thank you. You've now listed the members. I heard there was no unanimous consent. We are moving on. Ms. Anstey, you have the floor.
See, the Liberals are trying to have their cake and eat it too. They don't want to be on record as saying we don't want to make this move. It's very deceitful. The whole Liberal Party is just greasy politics, no matter where you go, no matter which part you look at, including trying to entice people to cross the floor. It's all very greasy. And they don't want to say out loud. They don't have the courage because they know that they're playing with some very, very dangerous fire. They have people in their neighborhoods who would much rather talk about the crime than talk about this bill that nobody asked for, that the Liberals are given to the Bloc so that the Bloc will give them support on other situations. It's just the NDP all over again. It's disgusting to see it in Canadian politics. It's disgusting to see that in reality it's us against them. It's always the population against the government instead of the government supporting the population, except for the Conservative Party. And everywhere we look, all we see is obstruction, obstruction, obstruction. So he challenged him again, which is a theme.
Point of order.
Yes, Mr. Barber.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to move a dilatory motion. I'm well within my right. I'm a sitting member that the committee now proceed
Can't do that
to
on
the
a point of
consideration
order.
of Bill
You
C-14,
cannot
the
do that on a
sentencing
point of order,
reform
Mr.
act.
Barber. Ms.
I'd like to
Hansi-
seek unanimous
Ms.
consent to
Hansi-
study bail,
Ms.
please.
Hansi, you have the floor. I'm not even
Point
sure.
of order, Chair.
Yes. Well, you've got the floor, actually.
I seek unanimous consent for us to move forward on the Bill C-14. That's on the hearts and minds
Ms.
of
Hansi, I'm
Canadians.
sorry to interrupt you, but you're not a member, so you can't move that motion. You can
Point of
speak.
She's
order.
seeking unanimous consent, Chair.
She can speak to it. She
Point
can't.
of order, Mr. Chair.
Where's this one coming from?
Point of order, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Mantle, yes?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I think if you will seek it and you listen for the voice vote of the committee members, you will see
Mr.
we have
Mantle, I
unanimous
can
consent to
take
move
these
to Bill
motions
C.
from people
Can I-
who
can
are
I finish?
regular members of the committee. You're
Mr.
allowed
Chair,
to
I'd
sit
like
at the
to finish
table
my
and
point of order.
participate. I understand, but you're trying to introduce a motion.
I am not, Mr. Chair. I'm seeking unanimous consent. It is not a
which
motion.
which you cannot do. You're allowed to participate and make submissions on what we're talking about. Only the regular
I am
members
allowed to
can
make
do what
point
you're
of order.
trying to do.
And I seek unanimous consent. If
Mr.
you're,
Mantle, okay, the request is denied. It's out of order. Okay, Ms. Hansi, you
I
do have
challenge
the
your
floor.
decision, Mr. Chair.
Point of order.
Pardon me?
I challenge your decision, Mr. Chair.
Can't do that either.
I challenge your decision then.
Okay, that's your right.
I'd like you to put your decision on the record, Mr. Chair.
So just to be clear, what the Conservatives have done is Mr. Mantle has tried to make seek unanimous consent, which he is not allowed to do because he is on a point of order, which he's not allowed to do, even if he was a regular member, which I have denied. Mr. Lawton is now challenging that decision, so I guess we'll take a vote on that.
Mr. Chair, point of order?
Yes, sure.
I just would like clarity.
dilatory
So
vote.
no, I
Yes.
would like clarity
on the same
on
point.
what is being challenged. Is the challenge that a member should be allowed to move a motion on a point of order? Is the challenge on somebody who is not a member of the committee who is present when all the regular members are present is allowed to move a motion? What is the challenge on? Or is it on both of those? Do the Conservatives believe that in committees going forward, motions should be moved on points of order and non-members of the committee should be allowed to move motions when members are present? What is the Conservatives' challenge?
Perhaps you could clarify, Mr. Lawton, yeah.
So as you can see, it's pretty tense. It's pretty intense. And the Liberals brought it onto themselves. They are not looking out for the best interests of Canadians. They are looking out for a very special subset, a very special interest, whether it be their corporate friends, because those of you out there that don't believe the Liberal Party is in deep with every corporation, does not pay attention to politics and just votes simply on the name. The Liberals, not only are they in bed with the corporations, the Liberals make it easy for the corporations to get away with all kinds of stuff. Take Bill C-15, for example. But the room is filled with Conservatives, and it doesn't matter what's happening on the dilatory motions. The idea is to run out the clock or get the Liberals to agree to talk about Bill C-14. Now, you won't believe the audacity of the Liberal Party that gets exposed in this next little segment. Just cannot believe it.
Yes, thank you for Mr. Housefather's question. So what we are seeking has been unanimous consent, which any motion could raise at any time. Committees have, as this committee has moved informally where there is consent, we are allowing the Liberals the opportunity to advance their own bail legislation. That's what we're asking.
What he was trying to move, Mr. Housefather's question and the issue at hand is the procedural point.
Yes.
So my question is to you, as Mr. Housefather clarified, what is it you are challenging? What decision are you challenging?
We are challenging we are challenging the Liberals' rejection of unanimous consent and your refusal to hear that.
Okay, all right, we have clarification.
So, Mr. Chair, we heard the argument, but I ask unanimous consent that the committee now proceed to the consideration of Bill C-14, the Bail and Sentencing
Already been
Reform
dealt
Act.
with. Ms. Hansi, you have the floor.
Challenge.
Challenge,
We can do this all day, guys, if you want to have fun.
challenge, Mr. Chair.
Okay, we do one at a time, Mr. Bauer.
This is a,
This is what?
This is a sitting member of the committee.
Thank you. And that's why I just
He's
listened to
allowed
his
to
point
move
of
a
order.
motion.
I know.
for
But
unanimous
the
consent.
committee's already dealt with it as recently as about 45 seconds ago. So,
Challenge.
all right.
No, point of order.
Yes,
And
Mr.
this I
Hausfather.
want you and the clerk to discuss, Mr. Chair. At this point, we have established that members are on points of order moving motions. This is not allowed at committees, and it is not a challengeable thing at that point. And I am asking you to stop this ridiculous practice that I've never once seen in my 10 years in the House of Commons. The Conservatives are making a mockery of this committee at this point.
No, they're making a mockery of you. They're making a mockery of you, the Liberal Party, who thinks that they're so smart that the Conservatives would never come up with a way with you trying to railroad Bill C9 and ignore Bill C14. Because C9 is the request of a couple of very close friends of Mark Carney, and Bill C14 exposes the complete shambles of the criminal justice system in Canada and how the Liberal Party has been for years treating it like a revolving door, allowing criminal after criminal to commit a crime, perpetuate harm on the innocent citizen who's just trying to go about their life. And then the Liberals turn around and let them right back out on the street to do the whole same thing over again, burning out our police officers, making our women and children live in fear. You thought you would get away with that because you think you're smarter than they are. And I think they are proving that you clearly are not.
Mr. Brock?
Yes. Ironically, as we sit here 2 hours into this committee hearing, the parliamentary secretary to the Prime Minister, the member for Winnipeg North, is challenging, not looking at you, sir, is challenging the Conservatives sitting in the House as to why we are not swiftly passing C14. And the reason we're not swiftly passing C14...
This is debate, Mr.
No,
Brock.
well, sir, I'm getting to my point of order.
Well,
I'm getting to my point of order.
Get to it quickly,
I have to
please.
put some context into the point of order. Therefore, Mr. Chair, I am seeking consent of this committee that to improve public safety in our communities and to protect Canadians from repeat and violent offenders, the committee, A, immediately prioritize the consideration of C14 and work together to report the bill to the House at the earliest opportunity. B, sit through the winter adjournment to undertake meaningful consultations with victims, community leaders, police services and associations, and other relevant witnesses. And C, pause consideration of Bill C9 to make room on the agenda for Bill C14.
This is not a point of order.
That is what I seek unanimous consent.
This is not a point of order.
Now they're screaming in the House of Commons. Lamoureux is calling for the Conservatives to allow Bill C14 to go through so they can debate third reading in the House. They want it to go through without any scrutiny at all of a sudden.
Mr. Brock, that's actually not a dilatory motion, and you can't move a motion on a point of order. So,
I was asking for unanimous consent, Chair. I wasn't asking that you vote a votable motion.
well, I've heard
And
no.
clearly, the interruptions by Ms. Latanzio
Well,
and Mr. Hausfather...
you don't have unanimous consent.
would clearly trigger. They are not interested
You don't
in the
have
swift
unanimous
passage
consent,
of Bill
Mr. Brock.
C14. How ironic.
We don't.
Hypocrites.
we
Don't
do-
make
we
no
don't-
assumptions.
Okay. Here we go again. Mr. Brock, we went through this the other night. I was quite clear, and you agreed with me at the time. We are not going to be using that language at this committee.
They can't have it both ways,
we're not,
Chair.
Okay, but we're not going to refer to other members of Parliament with that type of language, because if you do, you will not be allowed to speak again. Full stop. Ms. Ansey, you have the floor.
Point of order.
Who said that?
I did,
Mr.
Chair.
Lawton, okay.
So changing course here and underscoring what it is we're trying to do here, I have an article that I would like to seek unanimous consent to table. Man facing first-degree murder in partner's killing
it's
had
not a point of
allegedly
order.
threatened her before.
It's not a point of order,
There are
Mr.
three
Lawton.
Quebec members
It is
of
not
that
a
committee
point of
that
order,
should be very
Mr.
interested in people
Lawton.
getting
I've
murdered
ruled,
by people
Ms.
out on
Ansey, you
bail.
have the floor.
Now, before I let it go on, I'm going to go to the House and I'm going to show you what he referred to, Mr. Lamoureux's foolishness. And I'm going to show you another thing that came out of the original meeting from 2 days prior at time of recording. You can't even believe the childishness coming out of this guy. Oh, I'm telling you, it's astounding to believe that this is an individual who calls himself a leader of the country. Now, before we go to Kevin Lamoureux, I want to show you somebody who was supposed to be in the meeting and he got subbed out. His name is MP Chang. He represents Burnaby South, a community that is beset with all kinds of crime and revolving door policies on bail. And he's trying to raise a point of order with the chair for incidents that occurred in the meeting 2 days prior.
I raise down a point of order. Bullying, discrimination, homophobia, racism, and hate have no place in this House. And I repeat, bullying, discrimination, homophobia, racism, and hate have no place in every corner of Canada. During the Justice Committee on Tuesday evening, I experienced mocking comments directed at the way I speak English and other remarks that undermined and attacked my intelligence. In addition, a non-permanent member moved my nameplate without my permission. These actions...
Order. This is a point of order. I will hear the point of order, and if there are other interventions afterwards, I will ask the member to resume.
Resume. Okay. These actions, whether intentional or not, undermine the standard of respect and decorum expected in parliamentary committees. They affect not only my ability to participate fully, but also the principle that all members of this House, including those from minority and newcomer communities, deserve to be treated with fairness and respect. I ask you to remind all members, permanent or substitute, that committee proceedings must be conducted with courtesy and professionalism, and that all materials such as nameplates should not be moved without the members' consent. Upholding this standard ensure that all members of this House can contribute fully and effectively, and that our committees reflect the dignity of this House. Finally, I respectfully request an apology from the Member of Parliament for Elgin St. Thomas, London South, the Member of Parliament for Sherwood Park, for Saskatchewan, and the Member of Parliament for Peace River, Westlock, so that our committees can continue to function fairly and with dignity. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
An elected member of Parliament. This is a leader of our country, guys. He is demanding that somebody apologize for him for moving his name plate. And because they didn't agree with him and he's in the what they call the open parliament, he feels that they owe him an apology because of some kind of a phobia. Really what he's saying is that they didn't bow and scrape to him, that they didn't defer to him, and it made his feelings get whatever his feelings are. He got sad about it, I guess, or mad about it, or what have you. I watched the entire committee meeting. This guy tried to interrupt the Conservatives, must have been 20 times with the point of order, and then he would say that what they were saying wasn't relevant to the conversation. Now imagine I keep looking across the table at you and telling you that what you're saying doesn't matter. You want them to be nice. While they fight for the religious right of the people in their constituency, you think they should hold your hand and defer to you because you are in open parliament or because you're new to the country. That doesn't hold with the principles of Canadian Parliament. And I could tell you stories about some of the things that have happened on Parliament Hill, but suffice it to say, there have been members of Parliament that have held duels out there. So I'm thinking that perhaps you're just a little bit upset that they didn't defer to you and that they moved your nameplate. What a ridiculous thing to say. First of all, it's not your nameplate. Second of all, it's set up by the people that run the room. And when we go back to the committee meeting, just look on the front of any of them that are sitting there. It's a piece of paper that whoever it is that's assigned to that prints the name off in a big font. It's on a piece of paper. They fold that piece of paper and they stick it in a little wooden, I'm assuming it's wooden, holder. It's a piece of paper. So I suppose if he wants, he could have the piece of paper and he could carry it in his pocket and everybody would know who he is, though it's quite large. But it's not his nameplate. And the fact that it got moved is no reason to be complaining. And the fact that all you have to complain about is that they moved your nameplate without your permission. They don't need your permission. Neither does the individual who set it up, the people that run the room, you'll notice them, they're zipping around doing all kinds of stuff. They don't need your permission either. They would probably move the entire thing with you in the middle of a conversation. I have seen them come in and drop them down and pick them up with people talking. So I think that you need to calm yourself down a little bit, but I think you need to reevaluate what you're doing in Ottawa. Are you there so that people can pat you on the back and tell you that you're doing a wonderful job and that everything you say is glorious? Because I'm not 100% sure that that fully represents the people of Burnaby. I'm not 100% that that's what they elected you for. I will say this, though, no matter where you are in this country, this is why you must always make sure who you're voting for, to understand that they fully represent what you want them to be representing. And as the crime rate in Burnaby is out of control, and you can go to any article to find it, I'm just thinking that perhaps this wasn't the kind of representation they were looking for. I can't say for sure, but I'm thinking that they want somebody who's, more ready to fight for their security than to worry about whether or not his name got moved. Now, this is nothing compared to what MP Lamoureux is about to try. You can't even imagine the gall of the Liberal Party. It staggers me how shameless they are. You'll remember when they were in the committee and MP Brock said to the committee that the Liberals were demanding that C-14 be passed right through the committee without being read so they can bring it into the House. An extremely undemocratic maneuver, by the way. All sides get to look at the bill. Well, while this was that incident. So right now they're in the middle of trying to get C-14 brought to the committee. Let's talk about it. Let's look at it. Bail reform, bail reform, bail reform. And the Liberals are saying no now for 10 straight hours.
They need and bring accountability back to a system weakened for nearly a decade. Mr. Speaker, we talk about trust, and it's at this point I want to mention that the members opposite in earlier questions and comments are talking about C-14 and swiftly passing it, and simultaneously, their colleagues in the Justice Committee, as we speak, are actively blocking Conservative unanimous consent motions to move to C-14. So again, this Liberal government speaks out of both sides of its mouth and does not know what it wants to do, doesn't even really care, and that is the saddest part of it all. My neighbors in Oshawa want a government that takes public safety seriously. They want order restored to our immigration system. They want leadership focused on results, not excuses. Canadians deserve better. But, Mr. Speaker, never fear. Conservatives stand ready to deliver better.
Questions and comments. Question commentator to the Honourable Parliament Secretary of the Government House Leader.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Speaker. And, whether it's the Prime Minister or the government as a whole has provided the Conservatives to do better, because we have provided substantial legislation, not only to enhance Canada's borders and provide more security there, not only to stabilize our immigration system, a number of commitments that the Prime Minister has made to Canadians. Canadians want to see things like bail reform legislation. The legislation and the budget is all there. It's before us. And the biggest roadblock for getting and delivering for Canadians is if the Conservative Party doesn't allow for it to proceed. Would the member not agree? Issues like the bail reform. We can deliver that for Canadians. We just need to get more support from the Conservatives.
More support from the Conservatives. I wonder if this guy is aware of when he lost his soul. I wonder if he even listens to himself talk anymore. He is so full of it. That's why he's always the secretary to the House. He's always this role because he is so adept at slinging and flinging the BS. No support from the Conservatives have been pounding on him for 10 hours, so much so that you saw some of the hostility. And this guy stands up in the House with this unmitigated gall. Unbelievable. And that's when they texted MP Brock and said he's demanding that you pass it without any problem.
The Honourable Member for Oshawa.
Mr. Speaker, I am thrilled that that member asked me that question because clearly he wasn't listening to the last few minutes of my speech, which spoke very clearly on the bail reform bill and wanting to move it forward. As we speak, Liberal members of the Justice Committee are blocking our motions to move on to C-14 so that we can start moving that through committee. And Liberal after Liberal, time and time again, is voting against moving to C-14. So perhaps this member will commit to walking on over to the Wellington building, speaking to his comrades at the Justice Committee and asking them to pass our motion to move on to C-14 as he claims we don't.
Order. Order. No member for Winnipeg North on a brief point of order, I'm sure.
Yes, Mr. Speaker, on a brief point of order, would the member give unanimous consent to, or the House give unanimous consent to allow Bill 14 to pass committee and come to debate for third reading today?
Order. All those opposed to the honourable member moving the motion will please say nay.
Of course they said nay. You claim this, unbelievable, unbelievable. You know what bothers me the most when I think about times like this is all those people that are not paying attention who just vote Liberal because they see the L and they think that the Liberal stands for liberty. The Liberal Party is populated with people like this, people who worry about their nameplates and have absolutely no idea what they're talking, can't match the words to the actions, are completely soulless. This is what's wrong with Canadian politics. It's not the politicians. It's the fact that Canadians are not holding them accountable. It's the fact that Canadians are too distracted with poverty and other hardships. I understand that, but we must hold the people that put us into this boiling water. We must hold them to account. We must hold individuals like Kevin Lamoureux account for his complete lack of comprehension, his complete lack of situational awareness. And if he is aware of the situation, that is even worse. I promise you, in a few minutes in the committee, every time the Conservatives say, let's move to C-14, then the Liberals will all of a sudden start saying, oh, let's move C-14 all the way through. Let's just pass it unanimously without looking at it. Before we get to her unmitigated gall, her shameless attempt to ignore her own actions, there is a bit of a dust up, and I thought you would all enjoy watching it.
The Justice Chair, Mark Miller, said in committee on October the 30th that there was clear hatred in some books of the Bible, the Torah, singling out Leviticus, Deuteronomy, and Romans. I quote, "Clearly, there are situations in these texts where these statements are hateful," Miller said. "They should not be used to invoke or be a defense." He was clear. Prosecutors should be able to press charges.
Now, I don't believe that Mark Miller understood that when he said Leviticus and Deuteronomy that he was including the Jewish community. I think that he thought he was taking a run at Caucasians and Christians. Of course, I can't say for sure.
Numerous witnesses told the Justice Committee that the religious text defense is narrow and does not offer blanket immunity, as the Liberals are suggesting. People of faith could be imprisoned for up to 2 years for expressing deeply held religious convictions that the government finds offensive.
Okay,
I can speak louder.
Mr. Bailey.
Yes.
I
can barely hear myself.
Okay, well, the room is getting a little... The room is getting a little...
Well, put it in.
Okay.
Stop talking.
Okay. Mr. Bailey, we don't need that kind of tone. Mr. Can, we don't need...
Okay, wait a sec. He's got the floor and you don't.
Okay, all right.
Okay,
we're suspended.
Let him speak and let him speak.
Suspended, guys.
Seems that when they don't get their own way, they are very, very upset, very, very hostile, very, very unparliamentary. And I guess that's why you see the Conservatives calling them hypocrites, because they expect all of this decorum and they give you nothing in return. And that is exactly the problem with everyone who leans to the left. They think the rules don't apply to them, only to you and I.
Mr. Bailey, sorry, you had a point of order, Ms. Latanzio? Okay.
Mr. Chair, quite seemingly, it looks very real and realistic that we are not going to be able to finalize clause by clause today. I still am very hopeful, very positive, but at this point, I would seek unanimous consent. Conservative members have said time and time over again how C-14 is very important, and so do we. We consider it. So we seek unanimous consent to send that bill back to the House, because if we keep going in this direction, look at the amount of time it is taking for us to study C9, and it is a very important bill. And so I seek unanimous consent to send Bill C-14 back to the House.
No, we need to study the bill. Let's
Mr.
study
Chair,
it.
So we
Mr.
do
Chair.
not have unanimous consent.
Okay.
Okay. It's straightforward.
I think that is just a disgusting display. Like I always tell everybody who listens, it's not about governance with the Liberal Party. It's about manipulation. How she tried to slip in there, C-14 is a very important bill. It's more important than C-9, a bill nobody asked for except for a very few elitists that occupy positions of power in Quebec. And understand that the Liberal Party is doing this to appease the Bloc Québécois, a party whose sole mandate is the destruction of Quebec, of Canada. Their sole entire purpose is the destruction of Canada. They are an existential threat, to take words from Mark Carney's very own mouth. They are an existential threat to Canada. And he is working with them for reasons that he could explain faster than I am sure. The Liberal Party is without shame, and when you are without shame, you are without honor. That's just my opinion. You can let me know what your opinion is down in the comments. I'm going to wrap here. Thank you for listening. I'll talk to you next time.